Everybody's a therapist now. People watch 3 TikTok videos where they learn the words narcissist, toxic, and gaslighting, and now they're qualified to diagnose everyone from their ex-husband to the cashier at the Family Dollar. Somebody disagrees with you, they're gaslighting you. Somebody tells you no, and they're now toxic. Somebody doesn't text you back in 4 minutes, and that's emotional abandonment. No, it ain't. Sometimes people are just busy or they disagree with you. Maybe they're just having a bad day. And every once in a while, now y'all stay with me here, sometimes the problem might be you. I know that's not a popular thing to say nowadays, and some folks probably skedaddled the moment I said it, but I don't care. The truth is the truth. We have entered a period in human history where everybody wants to identify toxic behavior, but nobody wants to entertain the fact that some of that toxic behavior might be coming from their side of the playground. Everybody's standing around pointing at everybody else. You're toxic. No, you're toxic. You're gaslighting me. No, you're deflecting. Meanwhile, nobody even remembers what the original argument started over. It probably started over something stupid like leaving a wet towel on the bathroom floor. And by the time they're finished, the towel has become evidence of narcissist abuse, childhood trauma, emotional manipulation, 3 attachment disorders, and mercury in Gatorade. And before the comment section becomes splattered with people who think I'm insensitive, let me be very clear. I know there are real narcissists and real abusive people in the world. I'm not making fun of any of that. I'm talking about the people who take serious psychological terms and using them to describe everybody who irritates them. For example, your coworker may ask you to finish a project. That workplace is so toxic. Well, Brenda, you've been carrying around the same folder for 3 weeks and haven't even opened it yet. Maybe the workplace ain't toxic. Maybe they just want you to do some damn work. Here's another great example. Your mama asks you why you haven't called her in 2 months, and all of a sudden, she doesn't respect your boundaries. What boundary? You never told her anything about a boundary. You just stopped answering the phone and started posting little one-liners on Facebook that says, protect your peace. Your mama's not trying to disturb your peace. Your mama's trying to make sure you're still alive. And gaslighting? It might be the most misused term of all. And for those of you who don't know what gaslighting is, let me give you some edumacation. Gaslighting is a real form of manipulation where someone attempts to make you question your memory, your perception, or your understanding of reality. It does not mean that someone remembers an event differently than you do. It does not mean that someone disagrees with your opinion. And it definitely doesn't mean that your husband told you that you never asked him to stop by the store when you doggone well know you were thinking it instead of saying it. They can't read your mind. You were sitting in the passenger thinking, I sure hope he remembers we need some milk. He didn't remember it because you never said it out loud, sweetheart. That ain't gaslighting. That's you trying to communicate through Bluetooth without pairing the devices. And not everybody who talks about themselves too much is a narcissist. Some people are just long-winded, or maybe they're nervous. Some people haven't spoken to anybody in a week. So you finally ask them, how are you doing? And you accidentally released a 4-hour documentary. You asked the question, now you're trapped. They're going to tell you about their job, their marriage, their neighbor, their gallbladder surgery, and a suspicious noise coming from underneath their fridge. That doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist. It might just mean they've been saving up conversation since last Tuesday. And sometimes people are just plain old selfish. We already had a word for that. What was it? Oh yeah, selfish. We didn't need to turn every inconsiderate person into a case study. Somebody eats the last piece of chicken without asking if anybody else wants it. That's selfish. Somebody parks their car across 2 spaces at Walmart. Selfish. Somebody brings an extra 12 people to your cookout and none of them brought a chair, a drink, or a bag of ice. That's not a personality disorder. That's just some inconsiderate crapola. Back in the day, we didn't diagnose everybody. We simply described what they were doing. He lied. She's rude. He's cheap. She's mean. And I heard this one all the time. That boy ain't got a lick of sense. Simple and clear, and everybody understood it. Now you tell somebody, he lied to me, and they respond, it sounds like he's a covert narcissist, using strategic deception to destabilize your emotional security. No, he lied because he went fishing when he told you he was going to work. We don't need a 47-part series on YouTube to figure that out. His dang boat's still hooked to the truck. Case closed. And then there's the word triggered. Being triggered is a real psychological response connected to past trauma. But being annoyed, embarrassed, or hearing an opinion you don't agree with is not automatically being triggered. Sometimes you're just mad, and that's okay. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to say, that pisses me off. That doesn't require a daggum diagnosis. I get irritated when someone stands in the middle of the grocery aisle with their buggy turned sideways while they read the ingredients on a can of Vienna sausages. I'm not triggered. I just need them to move out the dang way. And we've gotten so comfortable diagnosing other people that we have forgotten something very important. that we cannot accurately diagnose someone from a 15-second video. You don't know that person. You saw one argument recorded from one angle, edited by someone that was involved, posted with dramatic music and captions that say, "Watch how this narcissist reacts when he doesn't get his way." That title is called The Power of Suggestion, and you fell for it. Then the video starts halfway through the argument. And for all we know, the person filming ate the other person's last Pop-Tart, backed over their mailbox, and sold their mama's heirloom soup ladle. Then they pull out a phone and they calmly say, "I don't understand why you're raising your voice." Well, I might have a theory. People behave differently when they know they're being recorded. The person holding the phone suddenly sounds like a hostage negotiator. "Sir, I'm asking you to please lower your voice." "Sir, you've been married to this man for 11 years. You never once called him sir. But you called him a lazy jackass 6 minutes ago, though. And now that the camera's rolling, you sound like you work in the customer service desk at the Home Depot." And thousands of people will watch that tiny snippet of a video and they'll diagnose everybody in it. "He's clearly a narcissist."
"She should leave him immediately."
"He needs a therapist." "He's an abusive piece of shit." Y'all, some of these people cannot even regulate the temperature in their own house, much less diagnose complete strangers. And another problem with all this therapy language is it can become a way to avoid responsibility. Because once you label the other person as toxic, you don't have to examine anything that you did. Every failed friendship becomes somebody else's fault. Every relationship you have ends because the other one was a narcissist. At some point, you got to ask yourself a hard question. Why does everybody you meet eventually become toxic? If every boss you ever had was toxic, every friend you ever had was jealous, every person you ever dated was a narcissist, and every family member is a manipulator, I hate to tell you this, boo-boo, but we may need to look at the one common denominator. You. That doesn't mean everything's your fault. It just means you likely contributed. Maybe you don't communicate clearly or expect people to know what you need without telling them. Maybe you avoid difficult conversations until you explode. Or maybe you call something a boundary when it's actually an attempt to control somebody else. A real boundary is about what you do. If you continue yelling at me, I'm going to walk away from this conversation. That's a boundary. You're not allowed to speak to anybody that I don't like, go anywhere without me, or have an opinion I don't agree with. That's not a boundary. That's a hostage situation. And protecting your peace does not mean cutting off everybody who challenges you. Sometimes the people who really love you, they'll tell you when you're wrong. They'll tell you when you're being selfish, making a bad decision, and when that outfit looks like you got it from a circus performer. That doesn't make them toxic. It makes them honest. A toxic friend might tell you whatever keeps you happy with them. A real friend might say, "I love you, but you acting like a dang fool." We need people like that in our lives. I don't want everybody around me agreeing with everything I say. I've been wrong before, and I'm sure I'll be wrong again, probably before lunch. We all need somebody in our life who can pull us aside and say, "Listen, I understand why you're upset, but you handle that like a little girl who lost her ring pop." That's not an attack. That's accountability. Accountability, it has also become something that people try to escape by using their therapy language. You confront somebody about something they did and all of a sudden they say, "I don't feel safe in this conversation." Why not? Nobody threatened you. Nobody yelled at you. Somebody just asked you why you borrowed their lawnmower 8 months ago and never returned it. You don't feel unsafe. You feel caught. Bring that man his mower back. Now, I think it's good that people are learning more about mental health. For a long time, especially my generation, people didn't talk about any of this stuff. If you had anxiety, people told you to calm down. If you were struggling emotionally, somebody told you to pray harder, work harder, or go outside and mow the yard. We needed better language and for people to take mental health seriously. But learning that language also means using it responsibly. These words have meanings. When you use them for every inconvenience, we weaken those meanings. If everybody's a narcissist, then the word stops helping us identify actual narcissistic behavior. If every disagreement is gaslighting, then people may not recognize genuine psychological manipulation when it happens. And if every uncomfortable conversation is toxic, then nobody ever learns how to work through conflict. Relationships, they require uncomfortable conversations. Marriage, friendships, family, they all require them. Sometimes growth, it can be uncomfortable, and so can apologizing. You can't build a healthy relationship if your answer to every uncomfortable feeling is to diagnose the other person and cut them completely out of your life. Now, there are absolutely times where you should walk away, but there are also times where you should sit down, shut up, listen, apologize, and try again. We just have to learn the difference. So before you diagnose your husband, your wife, your mama, your boss, your mail carrier, and the cashier at the Dollar Tree, slow down a little bit. Ask yourself what really happened. Did that person just manipulate you? Or did they just disagree with you? Did they violate a clear boundary? Or did they fail to simply follow a rule that only existed in your mind? And most importantly, is there anything that you need to take responsibility for? Because sometimes the other person is the problem, and sometimes both people are the problem. And every once in a while, y'all, the problem might be you. And the good news is, if it is you, it doesn't make you hopeless. It means you finally identified the one person in the argument that you had the power to change. Thank you for liking and sharing the video. If you're new here, my name's Jason, and I hope I earned your subscription. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.